Afternoon students. So this video is the continuation of the tenses. Hope you understood what is tense. So in this video we are going to learn about present tense and its four aspects with its suitable examples and their usages. Okay, now we will see the simple present tense. So in this image you can see the positive statements and its rules and examples, and negative statement and its rules and examples, as well as question and its rules and examples. So if you see the positive statement, we will add yes, es and ies to the verbs. Okay, for he, she and it, that is third person singular, we will add yes, ies and es to the verb at the end of the word. Okay, for I, you, we and they, that is first person singular and plural, that is I and we, second person singular and plural you, and third person plural they, we will use the base form of verb for the simple present tense. We will not add any I or es or IES to the verb. Okay, now look at the example sentence. She starts new diet. So the subject is she, that is third person singular. So we have to add yes to the verb. Okay, so start plus verb, that is starts. So she starts new diet. Okay, now look at the second example. You start new diet. So here the subject is you and verb is start, because you is the second person singular or plural. So we do not need to add yes to the verb. So the sentence will be like you start new diet. Now look at the negative statement. He, she, it plus does not plus start. So here the subject is he or she or it, and we have to add does not plus verb. Verb is start. Okay. So here when we use negative statement, we do not need to add yes or ies or es to the verb. Instead we have to add does not. Okay, so for he, she, it, that is the third person singular, we have to use does not plus verb. Okay, base form of verb. And for I, you, we, they, we need to use do not plus base form of verb. So here verb is start. Now see the example sentence. She doesn't start new diet. So since the subject is she, that is third person singular, we have used doesn't. Okay, so we can say it as doesn't or does not. Now look at the second example. You do not start new diet. Since we have used the subject you, that is second person plural or singular, we have used do not plus base form of verb. Okay, that is you do not start new diet. Okay, now look at the question form. Does plus he, she, it plus start. So for question form, does should come before the subject. Okay, so here also we are using base form of verb. We are not adding any yes, es or ies to the verb. Okay, so for I, you, we and they, we are using do. So do plus I, you, we, they plus start. Okay, for example, she starts new diet. When you ask it as a question, does she start new diet? Okay, now look at the next example. You start new diet. Do you start new diet? Okay, so this is the rules for positive, negative and question form of present tense verb, that is simple present tense verb. Now we will see the usage and its examples. So we will use simple present tense for expressing general truth. Okay. For example, the sun rises in the east. So it is the general truth. Okay. So look at the sentence. The sun rises in the east. So the sun is the subject, rises is the verb, in the east is the predicate. Okay. So here the sun is the third person singular. So we added yes to the verb. So it is rises. Okay, now look at the second usage. We will use simple present tense for habits. For example, I play badminton every Tuesday. So here I is the subject, that is first person singular. So we used base form of verb, that is play. Okay, now look at the third usage, that is future timetables. For example, our train leaves at 9 a.m. So here our train is subject, our leaves is verb, and at 9 a.m. is predicate. So our train is the third person singular. So we used es to the verb, that is leaves. Okay. Now look at the fourth usage, future, after, when, and until. So we can use the simple present tense along with the future tense sentence. Okay, when it ends with when or until, after future tense sentence, we can use the simple present tense. Now look at the example sentence, I won't go out until it stops raining. So here I won't go out indicates the future tense. Okay, and after the future tense sentence they have used until. Okay, and it stops raining is the simple present tense. Okay, so it stops, it is the third person singular, and stops is the verb. Okay, so since it is the third person singular, they have added yes to the verb, so we can use the simple present tense after the future tense sentence. Okay, look at the next usage. So we can use the simple present tense for the permanent situations. Okay, for example, he works in a bank. So if a person is working in a bank and it is permanent, his job is permanent, then we can use the simple present tense. Okay, for permanent situation we are using the simple present tense. Now look at the next usage, for newspaper headlines. We can also use the simple present tense for the newspaper headlines. Okay, for example, man enters space. Now look at the next usage with non-progressive. So we can use the simple present tense for the non-progressive sentences. For example, I believe that you are innocent. So non-progressive sentence means non-continuous words. Okay, for example, here in the sentence, believe is the non-progressive or non-continuous word because we cannot add ing to the word believe. For example, continuous word or progressive word means speak is the continuous or progressive word. இந்த மாதிரி speak and say இந்த மாதிரியான வேர்ட்ஸ் கூட வேர்ப்ஸ் கூட நம்ம வந்து ஐஎன்ஜி சேர்த்து நம்ம யூஸ் பண்ணலாம். பட் நான் ப்ராக்ரெசிவ் ஆர் நான் கண்டினியூவஸ் வேர்டாக இருக்கக்கூடிய பிலீவ், இன்னசென்ட், ஹேட், லவ் இந்த மாதிரியான வேர்ட்ஸோட நம்ம வந்து ஐஎன்ஜி சேர்த்து யூஸ் பண்ண முடியாது. ஃபார் எக்ஸாம்பிள், இஃப் ஐ சே ஐ பிலீவிங் தட், அந்த மாதிரி நம்ம சென்டென்ஸ் வந்து யூஸ் பண்ண முடியாது. ஸோ தட் இஸ் ராங். ஐ பிலீவ் தட் யூ ஆர் இன்னசென்ட், தட் இஸ் த கரெக்ட் சென்டென்ஸ். ஸோ இந்த மாதிரியான நான் ப்ராக்ரெசிவ் வேர்டோட நம்ம simple present tense வந்து யூஸ் பண்ணலாம். ஓகே, அண்ட் நெக்ஸ்ட் we can use a simple present tense for when telling the stories. ஒரு ஸ்டோரி சொல்லும் போதோ நம்ம வந்து simple present tense யூஸ் பண்ணலாம். Now look at the example, suddenly the window opens and a masked man enters. So this is the example for simple present tense. And at last we can use the simple present tense for giving direction and instructions. யாருன்னா வழி கேட்டா இல்லை இன்ஸ்ட்ரக்ஷன் சொல்லும் போது நம்ம வந்து simple present tense வந்து யூஸ் பண்ணுவோம். Now look at the example sentence, first of all you break the eggs and whisk with sugar. So whenever we are asked to say about any instructions or directions, we can use the simple present tense. Okay.